You know, we're all told the same thing, right? Get a good education and you'll be successful. But what if the rules of the game have completely changed? As we dive headfirst into this information age, you gotta ask, is the schooling we get actually setting us up for the real world? Today, we're gonna dig into that exact question, pulling some major insights from Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Kid, Smart Kid.
So let me ask you something. When you go to a bank for a loan, does the banker ever ask to see your report card? Nope, never. They want to see your financial statement. And that one little fact right there, it shows you the huge gap between what school thinks is important and what the real world actually demands when it comes to money.
Okay, so where does this massive disconnect even come from? Well, the world of work, of money, it's been totally turned upside down. But our education system? It feels like it's still playing by a rulebook from 100 years ago. The argument here is that it just hasn't kept up, not even close. I mean, think about it. Back in the industrial age, the path was pretty straightforward. You went to school, you got a job, and what you learned could basically last you a lifetime. But today, we live in a world where information is constantly flowing, constantly changing. The idea that you're done learning after you graduate isn't just old-fashioned, it's actually kind of dangerous to your future.
Hey, even Einstein was onto this. Our school system is amazing at rewarding knowledge, your ability to memorize dates and facts. But in an age where you can Google literally any fact in 2 seconds, what's really valuable? It's imagination. It's the ability to connect the dots in a new way and think outside the box. That's the real superpower.
So, if grades and report cards aren't the real measure, what is? Well, this leads us to a much bigger idea. We have to completely rethink what it means to be smart. The book argues that our definition is just way too narrow.
It's a pretty bold question, right? But the core idea here is that every single child is born a genius. I mean, just think about how fast a little kid learns to walk and talk. It's incredible. The problem isn't that our kids lack genius. It's that the system, a lot of the time, is designed in a way that accidentally stamps it out.
And the key is understanding that there's more than one way to be a genius. A guy from Harvard, Howard Gardner, identified these 7 different kinds of intelligence. You could be a physical genius, like an athlete, or an interpersonal genius who's amazing with people. But here's the catch. Our schools are almost entirely built to measure and reward just 2 of them, the verbal and the numerical ones. The other 5, they're often completely ignored.
And this is the real kicker. How do we get good at anything? How do we develop any of these forms of genius? By trying stuff, by failing, by making mistakes, and then learning from them. We all know this. And yet, what does school teach us? That mistakes are bad, that they get you a bad grade. This fear of messing up is exactly what paralyzes so many people from ever taking a real risk in the real world.
So if the system has these big flaws, what's the answer? Where do you start? According to the book, true wealth doesn't begin with a paycheck. It doesn't even start with a savings account. It starts inside your head. It starts with an idea.
We've all said this. I've said it, you've said it. But these 4 little words might be the most destructive phrase for your financial future. Why? Because saying, "I can't," is a statement. It's final. It's like slamming a door in your brain's face and telling it to just give up.
But now, look what happens when we just tweak it a little. By turning it into a question, how can I afford it? You throw that door wide open. You're basically giving your brain a puzzle to solve. It's forced to get creative, to look for options, to find a way. That question, right there, is the starting line for all financial problem solving.
And that's exactly why money is, at its core, just an idea. The power isn't in the paper cash itself. The real power is in your mind's ability to come up with solutions. Your brain is your #1 absolute greatest asset. The problems it can solve, that's what actually makes you rich.
All right, let's get to it. This next part is probably the single most famous lesson from the entire Rich Dad philosophy. If you can really, truly grasp this one simple difference, you'll understand the basic rule of the whole money game. Forget all the complicated definitions you've heard. It's super simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. It's all about the direction the cash is flowing. Does it make you money? It's an asset.
And a liability is, you guessed it, the exact opposite. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket. Again, just follow the cash flow. Simple, right? But believe it or not, this simple distinction is where most people get tripped up.
So let's put this to the test with the big one. We've all been told for generations that our house is our biggest asset. But based on the super simple definitions we just learned, is it? Every month, does your house put money in your pocket?
And here it is, the big aha moment. For you, the homeowner, your mortgage payment, your taxes, your upkeep, that's all cash flowing out of your pocket. That makes your house a liability. But to the bank, that mortgage payment you send them every month is cash flowing into their pocket. So your liability is their asset.
Okay, so how do we wrap all this up? There's one last, really crucial idea to lock in. You have to be willing to challenge your own winning formula, because the strategy that made you successful yesterday might be the very thing that holds you back tomorrow.
The book uses a perfect example for this. The character Al Bundy. What was his winning formula? Scoring 4 touchdowns in one high school football game. That was his peak. And decades later, he's still living in that one moment of glory. His formula for success became obsolete, and he never found a new one.
So how do you avoid that trap? By really taking this idea to heart. Your diploma isn't the finish line. It's the starting gun. Your true, most important education, the one that really shapes your life, it all begins the day you walk out of school.
And if you need proof, check this out. A study from the Carnegie Institute found that all the technical knowledge, the stuff school drills into you, only accounts for about 15% of financial success. Just 15. So where does the other 85% come from? From everything else. Your people skills, your leadership, your ability to communicate, all those intelligences that school doesn't give you a grade for.
So, here's the bottom line. In a world that's changing faster than we can even keep up with, the most valuable skill you can possibly have isn't what you already know. It's how fast you can learn something new, unlearn old ideas that don't work anymore, and adapt to whatever's coming next.
And that really brings us to our final thought. If everything you learned up until now was just the warm-up, if your real education starts today, what's the very first lesson you're going to teach yourself?